Hello, my name is Cobe Lawson here in the final week of the Promineo Tech Backend Software Development Bootcamp. For my final project, I have built a Blockbuster-style movie and video game rental service. This was my initial ERD, and a lot has changed since I first built this. Checkout, I ended up renaming transaction, and media type and genre, I ended up turning those into enums instead of having their own table, and I paired those to movies, and then I built some different enums that is console and gameplay for video games that functions basically the same, but otherwise it's all worked out here basically the same. I've added some new fields and stuff to make them a bit bigger, such as administrator roles and due dates and stuff like that. Um, but you can see here I've got my SQL file with all my different tables. I ended up having one, two, three, four. Ended up having about 8 tables, and I wanted to split it into a schema file and a data file, but I ended up joining I made a movies table and a video game table, and I ended up joining them together to create a full products table using a union all. And in doing so, I ended up having to have all of that data beforehand, and it just made sense to break it into or keep it in a single file rather than break it into two different ones. But um, over here on my actual program, this is the main program. You can see it right there. I've got controllers for all my different tables. I've got a DAO and a service layer all built. I've got my entities, so my different tables, as well as my enums like console and gameplay and genre, and my rental request, which is my data field for building a new rental transaction. Um, and I built 4 different tests, and they're all working, which is great. You can see over here I've got this is my bigger test for my rental transactions. I can fetch a transaction and I can build one, and I'll go ahead and run this just to show that it is green and running, you know. Um, so give that a second to boot up. Uh, I've had some issues on this project, but at this point they're pretty much worked out. There's more functionality in mind that I would like to work on as sort of as stretch goals with doing more with rentals and reviews. But you can see they're both tests turned green. And if I go and run the main app as a Spring Boot app, get it running and head on over to my browser to show off the Swagger UI. So that's starting up. It's up. We'll go ahead and reload this page. So it's working for my transactions table. I've got my get, put, post, and delete, my full CRUD methods, and that's also my many to many table. So, like, just to show off one of them, we'll go to the video game inventory and we'll try it out. So, gameplay style, we'll say it's a platformer and it's a PlayStation 2 console. And we'll execute that, and there's all the platformers. So, that's working. And for administrator, we can search by role of administrator. So, if I put cashier, which I've got the roles outlined up there, it'll return me all the cashiers. The way I did customers is I just did a blanket fetching of all customers. So got it all right there. So the whole program works as intended. It has been a lot of work, but incredibly satisfying to get it to where it needs to be. So that is pretty much it. It is totally built. Well, thank you. Goodbye.